Welcome to our Lagos studio. My name is Daniel Praise Debame. This morning we are going to be assessing President Tinubu's policies and their impact on small, medium-scale businesses in Nigeria. We all know that SMEs are vital to Nigeria's economy, employment, and growth. Since taking office, President Bola Tinubu has implemented policies aimed at economic stability and business. However, while some see opportunities, others argue this increased inflation, operational costs, and business struggles. Now, this discussion examines the real impact of President Tinubu's policies on SMEs and explore possible solutions. To help us make the conversation is Dr. Tony Curtis, MD CEO of Assurance Trust Finance Company Limited, a seasoned banker with a major financial influence in microfinancing for the unbanked person. So he's joining us virtually from our Benin Network studio. Good morning, Dr. Tony, and we're so glad to have you.
Yeah, good morning, my dear friend and person. My name, like you said, is Dr. Tony Curtis, and thanking you for bringing me to your studio this morning to talk about President Tinubu's policies. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your participation, Dr. Tony. Let's quickly matter. How would you assess President Tinubu's economic policies, particularly their impact on SMEs?
To an extent, I would say that his policies has come into two-fold. Somehow it came like a mixed bag, a mixed bag in the sense that, let's take for instance, it has some positive impacts and it also has some negative impacts. So, for instance, President Tinubu's policies, to an extent, has not given any ray of hope to the masses. I must tell you this, because a lot of people out there, small-scale businesses out there, actually, kind of struggling to survive. They are struggling to survive, due to some harsh conditions of the policies, So I suggest maybe his team go back to the drawing board to see how they can tweak these policies to actually give some level playing ground to our small-scale businesses. Honestly, if they don't do anything to actually ensure that small-scale businesses survives in Nigeria, definitely people will go down. Businesses will go down in Nigeria.
All right, moving on now. How has the removal of fuel subsidies or affecting SMEs, considering rising transportation and production costs, electricity tariff hike, and all that? How has it affected SMEs? One that is keen and close to those banked area, and someone who has a wide experience. Please make sense of this.
For instance, the removal of fuel subsidy, everybody is feeling it, including the rich and the poor. Coming down to the small-scale businesses, you could see that the transport cost exactly is affecting a lot of businesses, including staff issue. For instance, somebody earning that is maybe working in a small-scale business, earning maybe like say 70,000 or 50,000, and probably where he goes to work, he spends maybe like 1,000 naira a day. If you multiply that in 20 working days, 5,000 naira a week times 4, that's almost 20,000. And if you look at it, you discover that the transport cost alone, via removal of fuel subsidy, has actually affected a whole lot of things. Even in the prices of goods and services, you can see it, that anybody going to buy goods today in Lagos, spend a huge sum of money transporting those goods to his base where he sells those goods. So you discover that this fuel subsidy that President Tinubu removed is actually affecting a whole lot of things. But thank God, you understand that the Dangote refinery is equally doing a whole lot to ensure that fuel cost comes down. And I believe if they also have a way of helping our refineries to work better, it will also bring down these prices of fuel cost, which is impacting on small-scale businesses. Imagine a barber that is actually generating, that using generator to barb, for instance. You discover that if he uses generator throughout the day with this high cost of fuel, definitely it will also affect the person who goes there to barb. You know, so let's assume that the fuel goes back to the normal price it is. It will automatically stabilize the SMEs in Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move on now. What impact have forex policies and naira fluctuations had on SMEs, especially those relying on imports? Is there any impact?
Well, to an extent, there is a major impact. We all know that people who rely more on importation of goods, they find it very difficult to access forex in Nigeria. And even our black market people, they are not equally helping matters, in the sense that when you go there to actually access this forex, you know, it's on a high cost. And you don't expect someone who buys goods from outside now, who imports, to sell at a lower rate, you know, due to this forex exchange issue. So you discover that a whole lot of this is equally affecting the price of goods in the market. I wish and I believe and I pray as well that if our dear president, whom I believe, you know, came in with a renewed hope agenda, can tweak his renewed hope to also help the CBN make this forex accessible to small scale businesses. You discover that prices of goods will also come down. So I want to believe that by the grace of God, hearing my voice on TV talking about this, they will do something that will help the forex exchange to actually help the small scale businesses. Thank you.
Okay, now many SMEs complain about multiple taxation, though the government is doing enough to see how to revamp the taxation. There's a new tax reform, and they're trying to put some things in place. But do you think the government has done enough to see how to relieve or provide tax relief for these SMEs so that they can breathe? There was a time the president said to allow the poor to breathe, and it seems that the SMEs, who are the engine room of the economy, they are not actually breathing at this point. Those are the taxations, and it is not allowing them to ventilate their business and get profit. Do you think the government has really done enough for them?
Well, to an extent, I would say government is actually trying. And why I said to an extent the government is actually trying, I think there is a window for tax holidays as well that government has actually given to some SMEs people. And that's actually enough relief for some SMEs, you know. And I also believe there are some interventions too that government has actually done too, you know, to actually reduce this multiple taxation. Take for instance, let's talk about maybe federal government tax, state tax, you know. There are some issues surrounding those areas. But I believe that in time to come, if they actually look at these areas like we are talking about now, you understand, it will go a long way to help this small scale business. So this multiple taxation, just like we are discussing now, if government can actually give a tax window opportunity for SMEs to actually see how they can, reduce the tax burden on this SME by giving them good intervention funds to do that, it will go a long way to actually help them, survive in this economy. Thank you.
All right, now, has Tinubu's administration improved access to affordable loans for small businesses? Though successive governments, that of President Muhammadu Buhari, they had the traders' money and all of that. They had so many plans and so many schemes for the SMEs. But do you think this government is doing enough in terms of loan accessibility?
Yes, they are. I think to an extent, like I said before, there are so many CBN interventions that to an extent that some SMEs are reaching out to actually stabilize their businesses. And to look at the intervention funds, I think Tinubu's administration actually had so many that they've doled out in the recent time, which quite a number of SMEs, took advantage of to ensure that they stabilize their businesses. But I still believe they can do more. You could check the, I think the 125 billion naira support to microcredit scheme that he did, whereby they can access some money from there to actually see how they can also help the unbanking sector. So if you look at these areas, he's actually doing well. There are so many other schemes that he has also rolled out to actually stabilize this hardship, I may put in quotes, that is going on. But it's just that they still need to do more. Like every human being is always asking for more, even when it seems that he's not getting enough. So, but I would suggest too, like we Nigerians, like I tell people, we shouldn't be mentally lazy. You understand? We should not be mentally lazy, because laziness also causes what we call hardship. You can't think to see how you can survive. So most times I believe that human being needs to gear up to the challenges of the time. So you can't put everything on government. I'm not speaking because maybe it's okay for me. It's not really okay, but I still need to weather the storm to see how I can meet up with the economic challenges, because it's not easy anywhere. So for me, the government, to an extent, should actually do more to see how they can meet the challenges of people. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tony, we are due for a break, but before we head for this break, what is the fate of banked areas? What is their fate? As far as this administration is concerned, how are they coping? How are they faring?
The banks, you mean?
The unbanked areas, those that doesn't have access to banks facilities, those that have to depend on microfinances to run their businesses. How are they faring under this administration?
Well, for me, in my own opinion, I wouldn't say it's totally bad to an extent, because as a finance person, what I suggest to people, if you must actually go to lend money, or they lend you money, please apply it to that business you are doing rather than divert funds. So most times, most of this problem is caused by us. Okay, I give us an example. There was a time federal government actually doled out money to people, as in gave like most of these traders money with it. Some people diverted the money. They didn't use it for the actual trade. They collected the money for. Even some people collected money for a Greek loan. Did they use it for a Greek? No. So most times people begin to blame government when even government is trying to do something better for them. You understand? I know someone who was given a loan. Instead of using that money for that thing he applied that loan for, he diverted it to a different thing altogether. And at the same time, he's complaining that government is not doing. For those in the unbanked sector, which I represent, in quotes, you understand, most of them, I ensure I monitor what they do. And to an extent, if government could also hire people to monitor every loan they give out, because people see it as a free fund, that this is my own share. But if for a private sector like us, when they give us money and they say, okay, this is the percentage that goes with this money, go and apply it and make sure you use it to better the lives of citizens. And we go out there to these unbanked areas to give out this money. Our own onus is to ensure that this money comes back. And I would advise government too, that they should look at some of these good microfinances, invest in them rather than giving out money unnecessarily through CBN to people, and at the end of the day they won't get this money back. So they should look at that area. It's a suggestion to government and also the state, where they can also use the microfinances that are financings that are reputable to actually reach out to these unbanked hinterlands in the society where the bank cannot get to. So it's just a suggestion in furtherance to the question you asked. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tony, let's quickly head for a break. When we return back, we will extend the front line of the conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining, it's still TMI reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. And we are still extracting the President Tinubu's policies on SMEs, how it has impacted them, how are they faring, is there a way forward? We still have from our Benin Network studio, joining us virtually, Dr. Tony Curtis, who's helping us to make sense of the conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. Okay, Dr. Tony, if you can hear us. Okay, Dr. Tony, let's move on now. With inflation and the cost of goods rising, how are SMEs coping and what support is needed at this time?
Well, we all know that this inflation is just not just happening in Nigeria alone, but the fact remains that the SMEs too, they need to also gear up in their operational mode to cope with the current policies, you know, because as a businessman as well, I don't just fold my arms to allow the policies hit me hard. You know, at least I try as much as possible to work around some of the things I do. And the same thing I'm also advising some SMEs with the current inflationary rate that is over 200%. They should also see how they can, you know, work around it to actually meet the rising cost of things in the marketplace. Nobody, what I'm saying here is my own opinion. I'm bound to be challenged. You know, nobody sees a stone coming to him or her and opens his eyes to receive it. You just have to find a way to dodge it. And for me, I would say that we all know where we are coming from in Nigeria, and we also know exactly where we are going by the grace of God. And I believe with this inflation, people should try as much as possible to cut down on some unwanted expense, because most of the things that actually push up this inflation, we say, is things that we don't need. Everybody wants things they don't need. Are you getting me? So you focus on, prioritize on things
Yes, we don't need. Everyone needs basic.
Beat them.
Dr. Tony, everyone needs. Okay. You were talking about we should cut down on things we don't need. At this point, as Nigerians, what are the things we don't need? We are lacking basic amenities. I mean, we don't have access to good road, no good health care. To an extent, education is in a poor state. We have not even talked about the issue of power that is not even stable. Power rises and fall, rises and fall. Let's talk about the issue of power now as we begin to round up. The grid has been collapsing. It has risen and collapsed multiple times. We don't even know if it's going to collapse again. How do we manage the issue of power supply to ease business operations? This is going to be your final answer, Dr. Tony.
Well, to an extent, I would say, I think the issue of power is generic. It didn't start today. And most people, to an extent, most SMEs have moved to alternative power supply by using solar to run their business, to actually somehow reduce the cost of power. But what I would say, government should as well try as much as possible to see how they can fix power. We own power, and we can fix it. And every year,
Dr. Tony,
year out,
we have
budget so much money to
Dr. Tony,
to power sector. And
Dr. Tony, we need to end now. We need to go now. Dr. Tony,
you feel that it will be done. So SMEs, like some SMEs that have this financial muscle, they moved on by looking for alternative power supply.
Okay, Dr. Tony.
And I believe,
thank
by
you.
the grace of God, Nigeria will get better. Let's pray for Nigeria.
We appreciate you. We sincerely appreciate you, Dr. Tony, for finding time to be on the program. We'd like to have you again on our platform. Thank you very much for coming.